Hey, how's everybody doing? Welcome back to the Minnesota Vikings Skol Side podcast. We have a fun video today because as I keep diving in to my NFL, draft process, I'm trying to find corners and just interior offensive linemen that are sneaky that I think the Vikings could potentially draft and you guys need to know about. Well, I think we have a fourth corner thrown into the, big three that I had of Trent McDuffie, Derek Stingley Jr., and Sauce Gardner. That guy is Andrew Booth Jr., the corner from Clemson. I'll be telling you everything you need to know about him. But then also, we're kind of forgetting about our guy Cam Bynum, the second-year safety that the Minnesota Vikings have, and why I think he could have a huge role this season with Ed Donatel and Mike Pettin. Thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. Don't want to waste any more of your time. Let's talk about Andrew Booth Jr. and Cam Bynum right now. All right, start off with Andrew Booth Jr., the corner from Clemson, who is supposed to be going around late first, early second round for on the big draft board. He's supposed to be a late first round pick. What you need to know about him, he's 6 foot, 195 pounds, and I'll throw his highlights up on the screen. The number one word you think is physicality. This is a physical corner. He's got this type of box safety swagger to him, which I think is pretty sweet. He plays with this tenacity. He's, like I said, he's 6 foot, 195. If you would have told me 6 foot, 215, I would not have doubted that. I mean, he plays like he's 200 plus. He plays with this physical nature. And the thing that kind of makes him really interesting, last year was his only year as a starter. Now, whenever those guys like that coming out of college, I immediately love them. I immediately love guys like that who start 1 year and then they're going to the league and people kind of look at them and they're just like, well, he only played 1 year in college. How could he be, this good in the NFL? I think with guys like that, and if you watch him play and you watch just the natural physical ability he has, I think that's almost an advantage. I think that almost allows people to kind of sleep on him and to have him fall down on a lot of teams' draft boards. Now, he's an all-round player. I mean, you could realistically move him to play linebacker. I really think that. You can move him to safety. You can move him anywhere. So he's a guy that the Vikings, if they're really thinking about bringing another secondary piece, he's kind of the Swiss Army knife. Out of all four of the corners, he's the one who can do the most. Him and Trent McDuffie are pretty similar. Andrew Booth, though, this guy in the run game, he's an absolute psychopath when it comes to tackling running backs. I mean, one of the actual cons of his draft profile is that he leaves his feet too much when he's trying to tackle running backs, which people think, obviously, when you leave your feet, you could get shoulder, neck injuries. I mean, you just don't want your corner leaving their feet to tackle somebody every single time. But he loves the physical nature of the game, which makes me just fall in love with the way he plays football. And I think with the mentorship that we have on the back half of the defense with Harrison Smith, Patrick Peterson, then obviously the smart defensive minds we have in Ed Donatel and Mike Pettin, I think if you bring a guy like Andrew Booth, I think he's more of a guaranteed success. And what I mean by that is I think he would step in and make impact plays. When you throw on his highlights and watch the way he plays, it's almost like the other team, when they put the camera to him, it's like something's going to happen. Like, he causes havoc. Like, he causes the offense to react to him instead of him reacting to the offense, if that makes sense. But Andrew Booth, pretty sneaky corner. The Vikings, I doubt they would take him at 12. But the Vikings would be trading back to 18, 24 for any reason. If they could pick up another second, third round pick with a team trying to trade up for a wide receiver or quarterback, you have a really good option here. Him and Trent McDuffie, I'm still fighting on them, who's going to be third and fourth on my corner. But Andrew Booth Jr., keep your ears and eyes peeled for this guy going to the Minnesota Vikings. All right, now we got to talk about Cam Bynum because he's one of the young guys in this Vikings organization that haven't really talked about this offseason. I feel like when you have guys going into year two, and especially when they didn't really play that much in year one, they kind of get swept under the rug in the free agency draft process because everybody's trying to find, we could get, Sauce Gardner in the draft. We could go get Stephon Gilmore in free agency. I think we have a guy in Cam Bynum who's a potential Pro Bowler type of player. If you guys remember last year, he filled in for Xavier Woods when he went down, and Cam Bynum stepped right up. He had a huge interception on Lamar Jackson, and he had a huge sack on Justin Herbert, and he played really good football the 2 games that he really got consistent reps. But when I titled this video Cam Bynum's role this year is going to be incredibly interesting, because the Vikings, and with Harrison Smith and this potential drafting of Kyle Hamilton, Cam Bynum, he is so versatile that you can move him to corner, you can move him to free safety, strong safety. He can even play a little box. He's a very physical guy, and he's just got great nature for the game when you watch him. And his role in this defense, I think he's going to have a huge role, and it's going to be very important. Because if he's covering the back end of this defense with the younger secondary that we're going to be bringing in, he's going to need to be on his A game, and especially with Harrison Smith on the other side and the responsibilities he's going to have, Cam Bynum could be one of those guys. Remember when we saw Anthony Harris a couple years ago where he had 8 interceptions and he had the huge one in New Orleans? I think Cam Bynum, just because of the impact of Harrison Smith and how naturally talented Cam Bynum and just his nose for the football. I mean, the pick he had against Lamar Jackson, he comes out of really nowhere, flies across the stream, makes a diving interception. I could see Cam Bynum sitting on possibly 7-8 interceptions, just like an Anthony Harris. Because we always talk about, great wide receivers playing together. It gets them off double teams. Thielen and Jefferson, they just open up so much for each other. Harrison Smith, what he's been able to open up for the safeties he's played with the Minnesota Vikings, Zendejo, Anthony Harris, I think Cam Bynum's the next guy, but Cam Bynum's the most talented out of all those guys. I think we finally have a safety with Harrison Smith that we could feel comfortable with. Keep your eyes out on Cam Bynum. He could be a sneaky Pro Bowl pickup just because of the interceptions he could get this year. Let me know what you guys think down below. Skol Vikes. See you guys next time.